Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martin Warwick. I'm delighted to be talking with Marcus Weldon, who is the President of Bell Labs and CTO at Alcatel-Lucent. Marcus, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
You're quite welcome. Good to see you.
What do you think service providers will look like? What will they be?
It's a very good one. We've been looking at this a little bit. Our radical statement of the 2025 vision, and maybe even 2020, is that there are 10 global service providers. It doesn't mean to say there are only 10 service providers, there are only 10 that have a global extent. And in that I include web-scale companies, by the way. They are a service provider of sorts, and increasingly with Google's MVNO, etc., and Project Loon and Google Fiber, they're becoming a connectivity service provider. So let's say 10 global service providers that have an end-to-end reach through either consolidation or federation and alliances. And then the rest remain local access providers. So I think of those as a little bit the alliance partners that provide domestic connectivity. Mm-hmm. And then there'll be a set of 10 global service providers that provide end-to-end IP and cloud connectivity and services that can follow you wherever you go. And in most cases, the 10 global guys will have some local basis as well, meaning they'll have local affiliates or actually local companies they own. So I really think it's a highly consolidating industry from a global perspective, because that's the extent going to be needed to satisfy cloud services and IoT needs. And the access to your content anywhere, anytime, you're going to need that sort of global extent. But the context that you take with you is a local thing. So that's the interesting paradox. I almost think there's two values. There's the hyper-local, where you value your local context and your local meaning, and you want things optimized for you locally. But then there's global, that you want that same local context available to take with you. So the ones who figure out the right way to become global and local through a system of alliances or consolidation, I think are going to be the winners.
Where does that leave the traditional telcos that we've known for so very long? They've been put under pressure in recent years by OTT providers, and some have reacted well, and some have reacted badly to it. Some have stuck their heads in the sand, some have taken on the challenge. But they have a history overall of not being particularly agile and being fairly slow to accept change. What's going to happen to them? Do you think they have an opportunity now, and does it have to be taken now? Because otherwise, are they going to be just left behind and become irrelevant?
Yes, and this is what I sort of tell them. I try and be a little polite about it, but no, I think in the 10 global service providers, yeah, let's say 7 to 8 of them will be telecom service providers, as you know, and if not love, respect, trust today. The others will become local providers, local connectivity providers. But local connectivity and maybe context. A lot of IoT and related services has a very local context. So as a local access provider, I know where all your things are within that local context, because that context is normally a country. And most of people's movement is within the confines of that country. People go on vacation, that's the 2 weeks a year, 4 weeks a year, that you're outside that. But most of the time, a local provider can know a lot about their subscribers and provide contextual services. So I think there's a lot of value in local, but a lot will become just local providers like that, and that's the limit of their reach. Except with an alliance partner of the global provider. I sort of think of it like the Star Alliance or SkyTeam in the airlines, right? There's some big global airlines that have sort of the massive hubs, and then they sign up these alliance partners. And I think of it as a little bit like that as the model. So the big guys will be the ones who get it right and move fast, to get to your question. And the guys who remain the local access providers either consciously decide not to go big, which you could do, and focus on being local, or they're the ones who got left behind a bit. And that's how I see things evolving. And you're right, there's enough that's already obvious about the future in terms of who's trying to take the value. And as I said, the technologies exist to do this. that you have to move now, otherwise you render being left irrelevant or as a bystander to someone else's move.
Because you have mentioned, and I agree with you completely, it may not be loved, but they are respected and they do have access to an enormous amount of data on their subscribers, always have had.
Yes.
But that, again, seems to me in the past, certainly, they haven't taken proper advantage of that or approached the data they have and approached the subscribers with that data, as it were, to say, look, we can do this for you. This is what our services are going to be. It's always underused. Do you see that changing?
It's got to. But you're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more with your comment. I use the example of Waze, the traffic application that Google bought. If you look at what Waze does, it follows your mobile device as a function of time. That's what it does. How it gets that information is either assisted GPS or GPS. But that information exists in the network and has always existed in the network, because to provide mobility and moving between cell to cell, the network is always following where you are. So that service that everyone thinks is a fantastic service, where you can see where traffic is, you can even post a little emoticon saying, or a little bubble that says what caused the traffic, could have been implemented by service providers 10 years ago with data they already had available that they have to have for network management purposes. There's almost no need to opt into this service. And if you said to someone, I can provide you a traffic service based on the network information, they would have said yes. But somewhere along the line there was such conservatism, I think, that said, because I'm so trusted, I am almost afraid to do anything because it may violate that trust. In fact, I think what we found is that people are willing to trust service providers much more than they think, because they trust web-scale companies much less.
Indeed.
Because they know it's a Faustian bargain of information is given in order order to get a service, but advertising comes back in return. So I think service providers have become ultra conservative and somewhat related to regulators, I have to say, because of regulatory pressure about privacy concerns, by the FCC and European regulators, that scrutinize them much more heavily, and I think it caused them to hunker back down and say, I'm not going to do anything more than I've done, which is basically provide basic services, connectivity, voice services, maybe a bit of video, and not use that data. And that data is a goldmine. And goldmine I don't mean in the sense of monetizing, that is one route, but a goldmine for value add to subscribers. And how you choose to monetize that is another question. But they should have been providing that value. And again, it gets back to the idea of automating people's lives. If I know where you are at each point in time, and not by looking into your packets, but just by following where you move, I can actually know a lot about what you'd like to do, about the traffic that's likely to be ahead of you, that you do certain things on a certain day at a certain time with certain people. I can know about that and then provide recommendations to you. And that's a very non-threatening service that service providers could have actually provided. And I think they've got to move there quickly, because with IoT, and with increasingly smart devices, that information is gradually leaching away to third-party applications.
Indeed.
Fitbit, Jawbone, others, Nest, and the more it leaches away, the less value they'll have. So they have to get moving on it.